Fine. So in this week's parasha, Moshe Rabbeinu gives smicha to Yoshua. So Koshel says, "Nasata mehotchav, give from your glory upon him. Chazal mehotcha v'lo kol hotcha, just from, not everything. Skenim shebosa Torah hayu omrim, pnei Moshe k'pnei Chama, pnei Yoshua k'pnei Levana." So it's a friendship between Moshe Rabbeinu and Yoshua. His face, Moshe Rabbeinu was shined brightly like the sun. Yoshua shined bright like the moon. Right? So aside from the fact that the moon is less bright than the sun, but Roy Lizbonin, on the inner depth of it, right? That the moon is, not just less bright than the sun, but it's makabel from the sun. It's makabel. It reflects the light. It doesn't have its own light. It reflects sunlight. It's makabel, right? And so also the whole Torah is Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah. He's the one who brought it to earth from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Navi Mach says, Zichru Torahs Moshe Avdi, and yet we also call it the Torah of Chazal. Umasra li Yoshua, Yoshua is Skenim Leviim, Leviim Masra l'Anchikas Agdol, and then it goes through all the Doros. It gets passed on, but even though it gets passed on, it's not called that takes it away from being Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah, because they're reflecting his light. So even though the moon is bright, but it's not called the moon's light. It's called the moon's light. It's that reflects it, but the shurish is the sun. So also it's all the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. But it's credited to us because we reflect it, like we call it moonlight. It's not really moonlight; it's moon reflecting sunlight. Right? But to go a little bit, to apply this further, right? The two chagim that we, the chagim are really totally in the moon, right? The Yom Tovim, because we're Makadosh Levana, and that's what sets the calendar. But there is one chag, right? That not totally in the moon; it's totally in the sun, and that's Shabbos. Because Shabbos is a day, not a date. Right. And the day is by the movement of the sun. Shkia, brings in the day, and Shkia takes out the day. Right? It's totally in the movements of the sun. Right? So the difference between sun and moon is between Shabbos and Yom Tov. And we find that Shabbos is Keneged Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why we say on Shabbos, Shachris, Yismach Moshe b'matnas chokom. Right? We don't say that by the Yomim Tovim. Shabbos is his day, because Pnei Moshe Pnei Chama, Shabbos is totally in the Chama, right? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's side of things. He's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's agent. He represents God. And he's mashpia on behalf of God to Am Yisrael. He's Hashem's shliach. Right? So, and Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes Shabbos. We don't Kiddush that we make on Shabbos. It's just a mitzvah to make Kiddush, but it doesn't make Kedushas of Shabbos. As opposed to Yom Tov, we make Yom Tov. If Bezdin wouldn't be Makadosh to Levana, wouldn't be Makadosh to Chodesh, there wouldn't be Yom Tov. But Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes Shabbos.
Right? We just do an informal Kabbalah Shabbos.
Yeah, but it's not Ma'akev.
Right.
Right? Kabbalah Shabbos doesn't make Shabbos, but Kiddush HaChodesh makes Yom Tov. Without that, there wouldn't be Yom Tov at all. If we lose the Luach, there wouldn't be Yom Tov. Right? So but the Zohar says that that's also a relationship between Shabbos and Yom Tov. Shabbos is from God. Yom Tov we make. But do we really make anything? We're not God. Yom Tov reflects Shabbos' light. Yom Tov reflects that really Shabbos is like white light, and the Yom Tov are break it, like you have the white light in the source, and then you pass the light through the different colored glasses, and that's how this glass is colored red, so now the light looks red. This glass is colored green, so the light looks green.
Right.
So he says the Yom Tov, this is Zohar, that or it could be derived from a Zohar. Right, that the Yom Tov are like the kalim that give color to the light. The light itself is like white light. And like Moshe Rabbeinu, when he did the avodah, he was wearing a choluk lavan, below Imra, representing the pure white light with pure white infinite light. Didn't have colors in it, right? And Yom Tovim are like the different colors of that light, but the colors come out through the Kli, because the light itself is white. The color comes out through the Kli, even the prism that you say, they're all colors in light. But you won't see it without a Kli. You pass it through a prism. And that's what the Yom Tovim are, which are totally in the moon. It's makabel, the light. So just like the moon is makabel, the light of the sun, and lights up the night, the Yom Tovim are makabel, the or of Shabbos. Yom Tovim, which are connected the moon, are makabel, the or of Shabbos, which is connected the sun. It's totally in the sun, because the movements of the sun make Shabbos. Right? And Shabbos is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's day. He makes Shabbos, and we just reflect HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light. That's Yom Tovim are, that they reflect the light of Shabbos. That's why Shabbos is totally in the sun, and Yom Tovim are totally in the moon, and Shabbos is connected, therefore connected Moshe Rabbeinu, Yismach Moshe Matnas Cholko, and the moon is connected Yoshua, even though the halach of Kiddush HaChodesh was said to Moshe Rabbeinu, but the Rambam understands it was just a Horas Shah, that they will be Makadish, the Chodesh, in the Midbar and outside of Eretz Yisrael. The Rambam holds halach of Lamasa, it's only Mikoach Eretz Yisrael that you could do Kiddush Halavana, which is Yoshua. Yoshua is the one who took us into Eretz Yisrael. Right, you can only do Kiddush HaChodesh Mikoach Eretz Yisrael. And Ram Paskin's halach of Lamasa that the Yishuv in Eretz Yisrael is the Hemshech of the Bezdin of Hillel Hanasi, the second, that set up the Luach. And he says if there wouldn't be a Yishuv in Eretz Yisrael,
we wouldn't have a calendar.
We wouldn't have a calendar. Because Mamash Toy in Eretz Yisrael, that's beside Yoshua, that's Machnus in Eretz Yisrael. And that we spoke about this other times, that the Dor HaMidbar is called Yom, and the Dor HaBoyar is called Laila, right. and Seder Zroim, which is the Mitzvah Tulis Baratz, is called Emunah. And Ve'emunascha Balelos. Right? Because in the Midbar you could see God panim mo panim. You saw the Onan, you saw the Man, and Eretz Yisrael everything went, to Choshech, into the Levush of Derech HaTeva. Right? And that's the darkness that needs to be lit up by the moon. You don't need the moon by day. You need the moon to light up the night. Right. We have to reflect HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light to bring or for the places He left dark. We have to bring or for places He left dark. But Moshe Rabbeinu belongs to the Hanhag of where it's light everywhere.
But it's not white light. It's yellow light.
It's really white. It's not really yellow.
The sun?
The sun? It only looks yellow, but it's really white. And it's in the sense that it's white light, as we call it, that has in it all of the colors, not just yellow.
What they call daylight.
Yeah. Anyway, so Moshe Rabbeinu is connected to Hanoga called Yom. He's connected to Chama.
Interesting that you'd say that because you see it in the Shkia.
What?
All the colors will pop out.
Yeah. As stuff gets beginning to get dark.
Right.
That's where colors come out. As beginning to get dark.
So it's when basically.
When
it becomes a prism towards the end.
Yeah.
You see all the different.
Correct. But that's not because the light is weakening. So Moshe Rabbeinu is connected to Hanoga is Or. Yoshua is connected to the Hanoga that's called Choshech. We need the moon to light it up. And the Kli, we reflect the light of the sun when the sun goes into hiding. Right? And that means that, and there's another way to explain that relationship, right? The sun's not here, and yet the moon's reflecting the sun. It's amazing. Moshe Rabbeinu's not here, and yet we're reflecting his light. Right? Right? Just like the sun is hiding, and yet the moon reflects his light. Moshe Rabbeinu is just hiding. And that's the secret of Chazal that say, Moshe Rabbeinu lo meis ela omedu meshamish b'om. He's not really dead. He's just serving from heaven. Because we're still reflecting his light. If it would be dead, his light would be gone. But it's all called Teres Moshe, even though it's also called on our names also. Because we give credit to the reflector for reflecting light. We call it moonlight, even though it's just a reflection of sunlight. But that means the sun is somewhere out there. Because if the sun would really, really be gone, the moon would be dark. Because there would be no light for it to reflect.
So what's the shot that we go by the moon, not by the sun?
No, well, we go by the moon because that's our Hanhaga. But we only go by the moon for what's shaykh to the moon. And that's the Yom Tovim. Right? But Shabbos goes by the sun.
Okay, so.
Right? And Shabbos is where the Yom Tovim draw their power from.
Is that because we can't live towards Moshe?
We can't.
Too much of a higher level.
It's because it's Moshe. It's not me. It's Moshe.
That's
We're not the source. We're one step removed.
So since he's connected the sun, we don't go by the sun. We go by the moon, which is the reflection of the sun, and therefore
That's what we do. Because that's what we do.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying.
That's what we do. That's called our hanhaga. Right, but we still go by the sun for what applies to the sun, which is Shabbos. Say Shabbos is to Yom Tov, what Moshe is to Yoshua, right? Or what Moshe is for Klai Yisrael for the rest of time. Which means just like if the sun would really disappear, then the moon wouldn't be bright either. Mm-hmm. It means that Moshe Rabbeinu is somehow with us, even though he's not with us. Like the sun is somehow out there at nighttime. We don't see it, because otherwise the moon would have nothing to reflect. So it's called Taras Moshe, and yet it's called our Torah because it's in our Kalim right now. So what's that called in halacha? What's that called? It's ours now, but it didn't start with us, but it's by us now. It's by us now, and therefore it's going to be called ours because it's by us now. But we're not the source. What's that called? That's called Yerusha. Right. For those who get Yerusha, right?
That's interesting.
Right? And that's why, what else is in this week's parsha? The halachas of Yerusha.
It's also why it's Yisrael Yerusha.
Right. It's a Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe, Morasha Kilas Yaakov. Torah is called the Yerusha, because the guy who made the money was the first guy, right? But he's dead, right? But yet, it's like he's still here, because he didn't take his money with him.
His money lives on.
His money lives on. Meaning his hashpah lives on. And it's called mine because by me it's now, even though it didn't start from me. It's by me now. And it's called mine. Like the Yerusha is mamish belongs to the Yorshim. But not the ones who made that money. They're not the ones who produced that money. But now it belongs to them because it's by them. That's mamish. The Torah comes as Torah's Moshe. Meaning it came, he was Al Pi Hashem Biad Moshe. Came through his hands. Right? So, but it's Morasha Kilas Yaakov. That's what it means. It's called moonlight, even though it's really from the sun, because it has the word the moon yarshins it. And that's the relationship that Yerusha shows that the dead is not really gone, because if he'd really be gone, then all his resources would be gone with him. But he's mashpia, and that's why he's still mashpia to us Torah. That's called that's called Yerusha. That's what my Rebbe Ramosh Shapiro said. We spoke about this shortly after my Rebbe, my Moshe Rabbeinu was nifter. Moshe Shapiro, he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu manchil et Torah b'chiyuto u'behistalkuto. He gives us Torah both when he's alive and when he's dead. B'chiyuto u'limed otanu. B'histalkuto hu horish lanu, because that's how Yerusha works. With the histalkus, that's what triggers Yerusha, which means that Moshe Rabbeinu is mashpia to us by being here and by not being here. That's the din of Yerusha. Right?
So that also explains.
And that's why it's not a coincidence that this is the parsha of the Anhaga, passing from Moshe to Yoshua, right? He gives smicha to Yoshua, right? And we have the parsha of the Moadim here, right? Which is all Pnei, which is totally in the Levana, Pnei Yoshua, Pnei Levana. And it's not a coincidence that sandwiched in all these sugyas is also the halachas of Yerusha, because that sort of explains. That's a mashal, a halachic mashal, for the phenomena that we're talking about of us reflecting Moshe Rabbeinu's light, the moon reflecting the light of the sun, the Yom Tov reflecting the light of Shabbos. Right?
So according to this, what's shot is that the moon gets smaller.
That's the whole thing. The moon was always meant to reflect, but it's terrible that we can't reflect everything.
Sometimes it's less reflection, sometimes it's more reflection.
That's right, and that's the chisaron that needs to be fixed in the Bria. Man was always meant to be a reflector of God's light. It would be called that we would light up what HaKadosh Baruch Hu left dark, but by reflecting His light. But why isn't light Laila Kiyom Yair? Higher Olavana Karachama, that's Lasilavo. That's right, we'll be able to harness 100%. Right now we're not harnessing 100%. And that's why night is still dark, and that's why also there's chisronos in the Bria. There's chisronos in the Bria because we're not fully reflecting all of God's light, and that's what's leaving chisronot in the Bria. But lasi level, when the hoyer olavana karachama of laila kayom yoyer, there also won't be any chisronot in the world at that time.
Interesting. So in the backwards way, the reason why we go by the levana is because we can't go by the chama, because the chama is
That's
perfect.
not our job.
It's perfect.
Chama's perfect.
The levana isn't.
That's right. That's what we have to fix.
Interesting.
We have to use the levana and make the levana steig, make the levana grow. That's the avodah of Yom of Rosh Hashanah, what we read in this week's parsha. The carbon Rosh Hashanah is called Chatas LaHashem. HaKadosh says, "Avil like kapora shemiatati esayoreach." That says, "Where kapora." So Maral explains because there's a chisaron in the bria because of miut halavana. Means we're not harnessing all of God's, not reflecting all of God's light, and it leaves chisronis in the bria, and that's what needs as a kapora. It's what needs fixing, and that's our avodah. And that's what we do with the Yomim Tovim. We reflect the light of Shabbos. Of course, we made Shabbos. Our job is to be reflectors of that light and bring it into the world and bring it into the Chol. So Yomim Tovim are weekdays that become Kodesh because Am Yisrael was Mekadesh the month and thus Mekadesh that date. And that's in Eretz Yisrael. Kiddush HaChodesh is in Eretz Yisrael, the Rambam Paskins. Right? Mikoach Eretz Yisrael. That's the function of going into Eretz Yisrael. And Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't Zocha. And the Midbar HaKodesh was fully revealed. Eretz Yisrael is to go into the darkness, and you need to be the moon to light up the darkness. And that's Yeshua's job. But it's still all Mikoach Moshe Rabbeinu, because the moon reflects the light of the sun. Yom Tovim are reflecting the light of Shabbos. Am Yisrael reflects the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? So as it's called that Eretz Yisrael, as will reflect the light of the Dor HaMidbar. Right? And that's the and the relationship between the two. How you call it a reflector? Well, I don't see the sun, so how is the moon reflecting? Well, the sun is still there. Well, what's that called? Yerusha. And that's why the halachas of Yerusha in this week's parsha also. That's what we want to explain.